Hello, welcome to Roy E. Man of Merlin. And today, I'm going to talk a bit about behind closed doors. I'm a coach and mentor, life coach mentor for run-of-the-mill purposes, but behind closed doors, I'm not behind closed doors, I'm actually very open about it, but I'm also a psychic medium. Now, my career is as a mentor and a coach. However, with this psychic medium, intuitive abilities, and the ability to channel information as well, it sort of enables me to really get into the crux of where you are today rather than just coming from a place of life experience and just asking you questions, discovery questions to find out where you're at and just using that experience to go, well, you could do this, you could do that. We all talk about our higher selves and our soul and our energy. They're very common terms these days. Well, that's also another element that I bring into my ability as a coach and mentor. And what that means is, in layman's terms, is more often than not, I'm just getting the answers straight from the horse's mouth. So your higher self talks to my higher self that then talks to me. And your higher self knows your life path, your journey down here in this life. And having that knowledge as a life coach and mentor, what I also do is I keep it very grounded into this earthly realm. So it's not a woo-woo thing. A lot of people are a little bit guarded when it comes to psychic mediums because they either don't believe it, they don't understand it, they fear it. There's many different ways that lead it to still being not a fully accepted thing, even though these days you'd probably find a psychic/crystal shop on every high street, even in shopping centres. So it is becoming more and more accepted widely, although, but there's still that massive fascination around it. Whereas me, I blend the both. I keep it, I use this intuitive information, this information that's rarely born out of logic, because logic really is just based on it's a belief. Our logic in a roundabout way is a belief, because it's just based on everything we've learnt growing up, every book we've ever written, everything we've ever, basically every piece of data we've ever ingested. Amazing, powerful brain sort of generates a statistically likely answer to a question that we have, and then says this is the likely outcome, which often means it's the wrong outcome because it's a lot of that information we ingest is incorrect. So we're always pulling from a very incorrect source of data. Whereas intuition, which is coming directly from your soul and your life path and the journey you're meant to do down here, comes from the energetic truth, which is very different from human truth. So I'm basically passing on a very truthful version of where you're meant to be, which for me personally provides a very much more detailed and more accurate guidance of where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. And that's how I operate. I am unashamedly open about being a psychic medium. It's a gift I was born with that over the years has poked its head up every now and again to hone it, to remind me that I've got these abilities, all at the same time while I was living very, very deeply ingrained life experiences, like that aren't very intuitive. Like, I was a tradie for years, I was in the armed forces for years, martial arts, all these things that people don't tend to associate with it being an intuitive. Whereas I was always living at it from an intuitive perspective. And I find that this greatly gives me the ability to greatly help you when it comes to having guidance. You don't have to believe in this any way, shape or form, because when I'm passing that information on, I'm saying it in a very grounded human language way. I'm not talking about energy and star alignments and Mercury in retrograde or anything like that, unless that's your language already. So this is what I love about having this ability, because it gives me amazing insights into your journey that you have probably not even considered, probably not even looked at, or even thought that there's a different way of seeing things. We're often trying to fix problems and get through life challenges in a very logical way. And we often find we're stuck because of that. So intuition always offers a way out, irregardless of how odd or obscure it seems, because it's always the most perfect answer for, or perfect way, perfect method for your journey according to how you live your life. So, mentors and life coaches often give you advice on how they've done things because it worked for them. Whereas I give you a method that works for you specifically, which means my mentoring is always personally tailored, and I can guarantee that it's always personally tailored. Yes, of course, I'm going to draw on life experience because it still has validity in regards to mapping that. For instance, if one of my clients is a tradie, then I can talk to them in a tradie language. That opens them up, and the more open you are, the more open you are to receiving information and help and guidance, the more I can actually bring in that intuitive side that really then provides a whole new scope, a whole new way, a whole new opening up of how to approach challenges in life. So whether that's relationships with your partner, your children, your family, your work, your career, all of those different aspects of life can all be approached from an intuitive way without necessarily really delving deep into the woo, because not everybody's actually naturally gifted that way. It seems like there's so many psychics popping up all over the place, but there's a massive difference between someone who can read a tarot, which can be learned without having without having really strong intuition. You can learn how to read tarot because tarot in itself has a standard meaning for each card. Same with oracle decks. If you did enough reading, you could, because all oracle decks come with a booklet, you can read that and it makes you look like a really good reader, but you're not using any intuition, so you're not really providing any deep insights. And that's the thing. So for those out there that are looking for a spiritual mentor, a spiritual intuitive mentor, someone with an actual ability, the discernment is like, well, are they actually intuitive? Because someone says they're psychic, we automatically think that. But you can use discernment. Just a couple of questions, like, were you born this way? Like, how long you been reading, or what's your method? Just some questions, 2 or 3 questions tends to start finding out whether the people of truth, because the human mind can only has 2 or 3 set answers to a challenge. More powerful minds, more devious people have 6. But beyond that, the human brain's gone, it can't think, it just is incapable of thinking up stuff in the moments. So you keep asking them why. And the thing with the truth, when people are telling the truth, you don't have to make up an answer because it's there anyway. So it doesn't matter how many questions I had about me being psychic from birth, I'm going to answer it every time because I'm not having to make up an answer. Because to me, it's a deep inner truth, not human truth. It's not what I learned from others. It's just a knowing that's always been there. And that's the key. It's that knowing. So again, going back to when I'm working with people from a mentoring perspective, that knowing, going, right, this is what I feel is where your life's at right now. This is where I feel it needs to go, or it's best for you that it goes in that direction. And I still leave it entirely up to you anyway, because we're all adults. When it comes to mentoring and coaching, we're the adults. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to guide you, saying, right, okay, you've got this challenge. This is the best way out of it. Whether it's an obscure way or a run-of-the-mill way, whatever way it is, intuition tends to use the best key for the best way, best method. So if the best method is a logical way, then that's what'll come. That way will come. And if it's an obscure way, which intuition can only see because logic doesn't see obscure, that intuitive way will go, well, actually, if you do this, this, and this, you'll end up here. It's almost like when the GPS reroutes you down some back roads to help you avoid traffic, an accident, so on and so forth. might not seem a normal way to go that way because it's back roads, but it helps you get around the problem. So that's a little bit about my approach to coaching and mentoring. So if you really want and are looking for a mentor and a coach and a spiritual guide, wherever you are in life, whether it's logical, intuitive, psychic, I know 100% that I'll be able to help guide you into the next phase of life. So please reach out. The links are in the comments. My website's there. And I look forward to seeing you really soon to help guide you to wherever you want to be. Take care.